Hello, friends. Just want to take this moment to celebrate the gift of this weekend. Bishop Hine will be with us. I'll be installed as the first pastor of our newly created parish, St. John Henry Newman. Uh, so, with great joy on our hearts. So, again, several years ago, the Into the Deep process, the diocese took these parishes here in Columbia and Marquette County, made them the St. John Henry Newman pastorate. And sometimes it's helpful just to be reminded of why we're doing what we're doing. The church, in her own study and awareness, really has looked over the last 20 years and seen how culture is becoming less and less religious and more secular, if you will. Mass attendance itself within our parish or pastorate has dropped by more than 40%, and you can certainly see those sacramental trends in terms of baptisms and weddings and confirmations as well. I've been here in Portage 2 years, and I think I've had 3 weddings. So the intent of the church, the reality is it's a people shortage, not a clergy shortage. And so the intent of the church is to say, how do we read the signs of the times, and yet how do we shore up our resources and our expenses, and how do we share those expenses in a time of change? So you might want to think of it just as this, like an umbrella. You've got the 6 individual churches underneath the umbrella of St. John Henry Newman. In order for this to occur, we have to have, there's kind of 3 tiers of it: a canonical, a civil, and then a financial. Just a word about each. The canonical certainly is the officers of this new corporation are the presence of the bishop, the vicar general, the pastor, and then 2 lay appointed trustees. Tom Cotter from Montello, Mary Rose Strickland from here in Portage have graciously agreed to step forth in that capacity. As well as on Sunday, there's the recognition and the awareness of the gift of a new parish as a new finance council, if you will, and I'm grateful for those who have stepped forth in the past to be a part of this, as well as our parish council representatives that are kind of beginning or initially at work here as we step into this new initiative. It does bring to a formal closure the previous existing parish councils and finance councils at the individual parishes. Again, we'll have a finance council and a parish council for the umbrella of those 6 churches underneath St. John Henry Newman. We'll keep our individual names. And then after this event this weekend, then it's kind of the phase 2, the administrative components. And some of that we've been working on for a lot of time here, in terms of cutting those expenses, in terms of phone systems, bulletin. And then we've been putting a lot of energy into employee handbook and benefits and retirement, and just so that we're real consistent with insurance across all employees. Another component of this is that all of the employees are paid by one entity, and we're certainly working with the diocese on QuickBooks Online. So eventually, as all of these get completed and the diocese applies for a new identification number, then we'll file with the local county seats in Marquette and Columbia the dissolution, and we'll file the papers to create this new state entity of St. John Henry Newman. And then the third piece is the financial. And the image or the analogy, and this will be sometime in 2026. We'll certainly keep you abreast. But at that point, all of the checks will be made out to St. John Henry Newman. But I use the analogy of a couple entering into marriage. They each come with their finances. They each come with their loans, their debts, their savings, and the 2 become one. And we'll have attached to this video as well the financial report of our fiscal year report of year end. So I give thanks that each of our 6 parishes or 5 parishes have been very strong financially. The income has exceeded the expenses, and your support will just continue to indicate that in the future. I encourage you enough to join us in Thanksgiving at Mass on Sunday with Bishop Hine, 10 o'clock here in Portage. And then we got a great picnic planned afterwards, just this sense of us coming together. And the last piece that I want to include with this is I found this great little video. It's 12 minutes on an introduction to John Henry Cardinal Newman. It's certainly, I think, a great worth of time. But in particular, what I love is at the 7:30 mark, um, for a individual to be declared not only blessed, but then to make the step of being a saint, two miracles need to be attested. At the 7:30 mark is the testimony of Melissa's miracle that occurred in the year 2019 in Chicago. So with that, might we all give thanks for St. John Henry Newman. St. John Henry Newman, pray for us.